Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Pandora, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you can keep up with what is going on in the Greensboro city government and beyond. I'm your host, Rodney Dawson, and joining me is the incomparable Joshua Johnson.
Thanks, man. That's a
Yes.
nice intro.
I worked on it.
appreciate that. Yeah, you did good. You did
Thanks.
good. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. So perhaps you have heard the acronym STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. STEM has seen a big push in our schools to help prepare students to compete globally in these areas. Oftentimes, female students can be underrepresented in this scenario. In fact, according to a 2021 study from the North Carolina Department of Commerce, North Carolina had 300,000 STEM jobs. However, women only accounted for 28% of those jobs. Our guest today has been working hard to improve those statistics. Joining Talk City Greensboro, sorry, I have trouble with the word
No
statistics.
problem.
In case you didn't catch that. So with us today is Laura Tew, representing Find Your STEM, the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanoengineering, or JSNN, annual conference for middle and high school female students. Laura, thank you for being here today, and thank you for struggling through my opening intro.
Say that 5 times fast.
Right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Rodney, for having me today. This is an exciting conversation.
Yes, well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. So what played out in your journey that caused you to serve the community this way?
And that is such a good question, and I appreciate it because I'll try to keep it short.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a chemist, and chemists describe themselves in a lot of different ways, but I'm an industrial chemist.
Okay.
I got my education background at UNCG. However, then shortly after that, after graduate school and a few other things, I went into the chemicals manufacturing industry. And there I found myself very alone in terms of there weren't any women in that industry. But I stuck with it, and 37 years later,
Wow. Wow.
yes,
That's great.
I retired in 2010 from
Okay.
that industry.
Did you
And-
really?
Yeah, well,
Did you
kind
really
of.
retire?
Good question there.
We'll put that one in quotes, retired.
Right.
Yes, I started to draw a pension. Let's put it that way.
There we go. That works.
And that certainly gets your attention as a female, that STEM careers give you the opportunity to do something after your active career, okay?
Yeah.
Because it puts you in a financial situation where you do get those perks and benefits. Not only during your career are you
Right.
applying your science, but then after as well, you benefit from having had that career. So I get to Greensboro, I retire, I start trying to get involved in the community. And I had been living in the corporate world, which is a certain existence.
Right.
Right.
But it doesn't make you nearly as aware of what people are dealing with in your home community.
Yeah.
You might show up at a government meeting, but it's because you're there to answer questions
Right.
on behalf of the corporation.
Right.
So in Greensboro, I joined the American Association of University Women. And I had been a member since the 90s, actually, on
Okay.
a national basis, because AAUW was a great source of information for me
Right.
as a professional woman.
Sure, yeah.
And of course, it's a national organization. It's been around since 1881, which is a really long time. It
Yes,
has
it is.
dealt with every issue that women have ever advocated for. And I had done that through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, looking for pay equity and gender equity in the
Sure.
workplace. But when I joined the local branch, I really became aware of the issues here in Greensboro.
Okay.
Not only gender equity, but ethnicity and racial equity. And then I started to read the data. As you've just pointed out,
Right.
I started to read the data on the lack of representation in the classroom and in careers. And so AAUW Greensboro was already working in this space. They were trying to reach out to upper elementary, middle school, even high schoolers.
Right.
And there were a couple of very influential members in that organization who encouraged me and inspired me to get more involved. So that's how we bridge from going from an academic existence to a corporate existence to a community existence, where now I spend most of my time opening doors for 4th through 8th grade students
Right.
and letting them know how they can prepare and access a career in science, technology, engineering, and math.
Fantastic.
Laura Tew is joining us, and we're talking about the upcoming conference for middle and high school students. And the words that jump out me, and I'm a pretty educated guy, and I'm intimidated as soon as I hear the title, Nanoscience and Nanoengineering. So I imagine some 4th through 8th grade students, particularly those that don't have a lot of exposure to that, may be intimidated as well. So off the bat, can you tell us what is nanoscience and what is nanoengineering? What does it mean?
Well, let me introduce you first to the concept of it's right here in Greensboro. That's so amazing. We have a career preparation center in something that is really for the present and for the future. It's 2907 East Gate City Boulevard. It's a very, very impressive research gateway center, and the JSNN, as we call it, is there, and it is tied into the engineering school at North Carolina A&T, as well as the chemistry and biochemistry departments over at UNCG. So nanoscience is like molecular chemistry, and nanoengineering is like doing engineering, but on a very, very, very tiny scale. And we know about this because we all have cell phones, and we all follow the research and the application of nanoscience and nanoengineering in healthcare. We know that they're doing things that are at the micro level. Well, this is at the nano level. And so JSNN, the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanoengineering, with its ties into two incredibly important universities here in Greensboro that have expertise in the sciences and in engineering, they attract graduate students from all fields to do really important research that's contributing to the safety of the military, as an example.
Yeah.
Anything that can be applied and done better at the nanoscale, that's what JSNN does.
Okay.
It's-
Enlightening.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. Nanoscience and technology is fascinating. And it's interesting, too, because before AI started becoming like the hot topic, we were that was something that people were talking about. So I'm fascinated by it. I know very little about it. I could hardly pronounce it, but I think it's very cool. So how can learning this type of subject matter benefit middle school and high school girls as well as their parents?
Exactly. So this particular conference, and I have some flyers here, and I will educate you all about that because this is actually our 7th year.
Okay.
AAUW has been involved in the JSNN Find Your STEM program for girls, 8th through 12th grade. And what's very impressive, again, about JSNN is that they have a very active mission. I'll just read you, if you don't mind,
absolutely.
something from the dean. I know
Okay.
Dean O'Bear would love for me to share this. She says, our faculty, staff, and students are dedicated to serving the local and national communities through volunteering to perform science experiments in schools and supporting teachers in strengthening their ability to teach at the K-12 level. So I find it significant that we have a major research institution in our community that is dedicated to making science more accessible.
Yeah.
And so when girls come to JSNN, they not only have the opportunity to tour the facility and do hands-on science with the scientists that are there, but they're going to have mostly a day of really networking with each other. Girls in 8th grade have a lot of questions about transitioning to high school.
Sure.
And they're going to have near-peer mentors and breakout sessions that answer those questions. They're going to see a panel of fairly young, almost their age, undergraduate college students who are going to share their experiences.
Yeah.
And they're going to see women in STEM, a panel that is actually being put together and moderated by Tiffany Jacobs, who's the executive director over at the Forge Greensboro, to tell us their stories.
That's cool.
And so by coming, you do get a hint, a little bit better understanding of nanoscience and nanoengineering, but it's really there for whatever question that the 8th through 12th grade girls, whatever questions they have, and also things that they want to share with their peers.
Yeah.
That undergraduate panel, do you know if it's made up of students that come from this area?
Yes, it certainly is. And Dr. Bonner out at JSNN is organizing that panel right now. She and I had a discussion this morning. It's going to be very interesting because these are people from, say, A&T and UNCG and maybe other schools that have entered their undergraduate and they've gone into those seats in STEM. And they have found discoveries of themselves because they see what the competition is like. I recently sat in on a computer science course over at A&T. And I have to say that the content was very challenging for me, not being in that field.
Sure.
But those students were on the edge of their seats.
Right.
But I also sat there and counted the number of females, and the females were in a distinct minority. So I was there kind of getting some intelligence myself on, okay, I get that this is a beautiful facility and A&T is offering computer science in a way that is very engaging to students. But then I also get that there's some students who aren't making it to that classroom. So if we offer this panel and young women start to understand that they can do it and that it's available to them and it's right here in their community.
And maybe even make some connections that,
Exactly.
kind of shows them that path,
Make some connections and maybe get a little bit better prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Grab that Math 2 in the 8th grade if you can.
Yep.
Grab that, calculus course. If you can't get it in your high school, maybe you can pick it up at GTCC. Grab that preparation so that when you hit college or whatever your path is going to be, you're not seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I got lost on the questions here. So we're gonna let's see. So we're gonna talk about the conference now, right? The annual conference. How long has it been in existence? Which I think you already answered. And what can
7
people
years.
expect to see there and do there?
Right. So we started the conference in 2018, I believe.
Right.
And even the term "Find Your STEM." So a bunch of AUW women are sitting around and saying, well, we're doing all this stuff for 4th through 8th graders, and how do we do something that continues that spectrum of conversation for high school, and how do we let the high school students run it? That's very important.
It's very important. Yeah. Yep.
So the high school students design the curriculum. They present their posters just like you would at a research conference. It's run very much like an adult conference, but these high school girls designed this program. So I believe you ask, what could they expect to see?
Yeah.
So they come in, they get their name tags, they check in, they have breakfast, a little networking nosh, and they see around them in the atrium of this beautiful facility, which is very impressive, glass.
You make me want to go check it out now.
To the 3rd floor as you're looking.
It's beautiful. I pass it twice a day.
Really beautiful. And then they see all of these easels around with stories that are being presented by high school seniors.
Easels in a science room?
Yeah, in an atrium, Yeah. And it's got these beautiful posters on them with pictures and what the girls are doing is they're telling, the girls who've designed these posters, they're telling how they found their STEM.
Oh, okay.
So whether it was a significant teacher or something that they attended or some, event that happened in their life, their grandmother had an illness that they became very concerned about. All of those things affect students, especially girls, and steer them toward their STEM.
Yep.
And so all of these poster presentations that are all around, and you can walk through as you're having your orange juice, and take a look at them. And then later in the day, the girls who prepared those posters will actually be at the posters telling their story. They get to do a 2-minute, this is my narrative on how I found my STEM. So that's the very first thing that happens. And then we can talk about what happens inside the auditorium next.
Right. Yeah. But it sounds like it's probably one of the most important things. It's making that personal connection. It's that opportunity for a young lady to say, "Oh, I can identify with that."
Right.
And that hits me here. So it helps them find that direction, and that's super important.
And it's good for two reasons. First of all, the girls that we're working with right now who are preparing their posters, and I spoke this morning to a young woman who's a senior, very distinguished student from the Kearns Academy, and she's talking to me about her poster, and I'm saying, you got this.
Yeah.
Just tell them what you've done.
That's right.
Tell them what you've done, and lay it out in a way that you can talk to it. So they're learning some presentation skills,
Okay.
but they're also building their narrative about how to tell their story.
Right.
And that will serve them well going forward. And then, of course, the girls who are there, if you are an 8th grade student, and last year we had students as young as 6th grade attend, they are seeing a role model that they may not have even thought about before.
Right. Right.
Somebody who has this story to tell, but also knows how to engage with her younger peers.
Yeah.
So it's a really good experience for everybody.
Absolutely.
Great connectivity and very engaging. I know they can retain the information a lot easier too. But let me ask you this before we get out of here: if you're entering a STEM field, a STEM career field, what kind of salaries can you expect to have coming out of college?
Wow, you know what? I'm not really sure right now because I've been away from it for a while. But I can recall a statistic that I saw when I first retired in 2010. I saw a statistic that women represented some really less than double-digit number of people that made $100,000 a year or more. Okay, and I thought, well, now that's not the way it is in STEM fields, because if you
Right.
if you followed my career, you watched those progressions. You knew exactly how you were going to track that. And if that's important to you, and it's certainly important to most people,
Yeah.
you want to find a field that is paying well and offers opportunity for personal growth as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you don't stay stagnant and do the same job for 37 years. So I lived in 10 different locations. I had global responsibilities in Brazil and England and northern Italy, which is really a fun place to go, and also South Africa. So, you know, you want to see a career that broadens and heightens your interest as well as your financial security.
Right.
So that when you retire, you got some stuff, you know.
I'm asking for my daughter, so she won't come to daddy.
Right. Right.
Who doesn't have stuff? No, I'm playing. I'm talking.
Oh, that's a good reason to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how can we learn more about the conference? Where can people go to get more information about everything that we talked about here?
Oh, wow. Well, I hope that we have some way of sharing this QR code. I don't know if you all do or not. But otherwise, you can write to, and I can give you the email address,
Okay.
JSNN info. So
Okay.
it's JSNNINFO at ncat.uncg.edu. That's a lot of information. You can also search for AAUW Greensboro, and it's on the homepage of our
Okay.
website,
Okay.
AAUW Greensboro.
Excellent. So what we'll do is when we post this both on SoundCloud and then for those people who watch it on YouTube, we will post in the comments those links.
Okay,
So
great.
for people who are listening on SoundCloud or another platform, look for those links at the bottom. And for those watching on YouTube, you can look in the comments section and find those links as well, and it'll take you there. So it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you, Rodney.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. And Find Your STEM, the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanoengineering, the annual conference for middle and high school girls, will take place on Saturday, March 9th from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. I imagine it's going to be a packed day.
Yep. Yes, it will.
Jam-packed. And that address is 2907 Eastgate City Boulevard right here in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah, just right across from Gateway Gardens, pretty much, right?
It
Yeah.
is,
So it's a beautiful
yes.
place out there. If you haven't been
Yeah.
out there, go as soon as you get a chance.
Stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Pandora, and Google Play. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Talk City.
Be sure to watch GTN, your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13,
AT&T, UVerse Channel 99, and Lumos 31.
GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.